After describing the structure of the earth, its quarters, its climbs, its cycles, ancient scholars shifted from theory to place. They began naming mountains, not as simple elevations of rock, but as locations of healing, imprisonment, sacred memory, and hidden power. Geography became narrative, and the mountains began to speak. In the land of Rome, they spoke of Mount Olashana. Within it lay a winding passage. It was said that whoever crossed this passage while eating bread and cheese would never again be harmed by the bite of a dog. More astonishing still, if a rabid dog bit someone, and that injured person passed between the legs of the one who had crossed the mountain path, they too would be protected. The belief was widely known in that region, a mountain associated with immunity. Overlooking Mecca stands Mount Abi Qubays. It was believed that whoever ate roasted head meat upon its summit would never suffer headaches for the rest of their life. Many performed this act in firm belief of its power. The mountain overlooked the sacred city and carried its own traditions of protection. Near Hamadan rises Mount Nahawand, green, prominent, and widely known. A narration tells of a man who visited Ja'far al-Sadiq and was asked whether he knew this mountain. When he answered yes, he was told, "There is a spring upon it from the springs of paradise." The people of Hamadan believe this referred to a spring that emerged only during certain days each year from a crack in the rock. Its water was pure, intensely cold, light upon the stomach. It was said to heal the sick. Its flow increased when crowds gathered, and diminished when they dispersed. Another mountain, also called Nahawand, stood in Sajistan. There, water flowed among reeds. Anything submerged in that water, reed, wood, leaf, would slowly turn to stone. Yet what remained above the surface stayed unchanged. Water dividing the living from the petrified. Transformation hidden in stillness. Mount Asper in the region of Sham was known not for miracle, but for wealth. It contained petroleum, iron, copper, gold, and turquoise. Within it lay a black stone that burned like coal. After burning, it turned white. Its water was used to whiten garments. And no other mountain like it was known. Here, geology met utility. 3 farsakhs from Qasiyoun rose Mount Thawr, a towering peak whose summit never lost its snow, neither in summer nor winter. Upon it stood a mosque, visited by ascetics and seekers of blessing. From its snow, they said, small white worms emerged. If one planted even the smallest fragment of them in the ground, pure white water would flow from that spot, enough to water an animal. Some insisted these were not true creatures, but something else entirely. A mountain where snow itself carried mystery. In the mountains of Andalusia, there existed a cave where fire could not be lit. No matter how one tried, the flame would refuse to ignite. Yet if a treated wick was brought inside, it would burst into flame on its own. Nearby stood another mountain where fire burned constantly at its summit. Smoke rose day and night. And on a third mountain, 2 springs flowed side by side, one boiling hot, the other freezing cold, separated by only a few handspans. In Turkestan stood Mount Hogna. On its summit were stone formations resembling tents carved from rock. From within these formations flowed fragrant water. The water poured from carved openings like natural fountains, and its scent was described as sweet. A mountain shaped like habitation, yet formed by nature. In Andalusia rose Mount Alberanes. It contained red and yellow sulfur, abundant mercury, and cinnabar, a mineral said not to be found anywhere else. From this mountain, mercury was transported to distant lands, a mountain of alchemy. In Jerusalem stood Mount Quds. Within it lay a cave resembling a chamber. Visitors claimed that when night fell, the chamber illuminated itself without lamp or visible light. Nearby stood a massive stone split in 2, yet still connected, like a cracked pomegranate. The mountain became layered with sacred associations and wonder. Between Halwan and Hamadan rose Mount Nisan, a mountain described as nearly impossible to climb. Within it was carved a vast archway. Inside stood a stone image of Khosrow Perviz on horseback, so finely crafted that it seemed almost alive. Nearby, another carved figure appeared to be digging into the earth, with water flowing beneath his feet. Legends claimed powerful beings were imprisoned inside the mountain, and inscriptions warned, if these sealed doors are opened, disaster will descend upon this land. The doors were left untouched. The mountain kept its secret. Near Mecca rises Mount Thawr. It is described as a blessed mountain. Traditions say that upon it descended the ram sent as ransom for Ishmael. From this mountain came the famous Arab expression, "Shine, O the Bur, so that we may depart." The mountain became tied to ritual memory and sacred history. Not far from it stands Mount Thawr. Within it lies the cave where the Prophet Muhammad and Abu Bakr sought refuge during the migration from Mecca. The Quran preserves this moment. When they were in the cave, the mountain became a symbol of protection, of concealment, and of trust. Also near Mecca stands Mount Hira. Within its cave, the Prophet would retreat for contemplation before revelation. It was here that the first verses descended, a mountain of silence and revelation. Today, it remains a place of visitation and reflection. Near Jazirat ibn Umar rises Mount Al-Judi. It was said to be the resting place of Noah's Ark after the Great Flood. Tradition holds that Noah built a mosque upon it. Generations visited it in remembrance, a mountain tied to survival and renewal after destruction. Then comes one of the most mysterious mountains of all, Mount Qaf. Some described it as a mountain encircling the entire world. They said it was made of green emerald, and that the sky's greenish hue came from its reflection. Beyond it, they claimed, lie realms and creatures known only to God. Mount Qaf marked the boundary of imagination. In distant lands near China stood Mount Sarandib. It was believed to be the place where Adam descended to earth. Upon its summit, a footprint was said to be embedded in stone. Each night, a light like lightning appeared above it. The mountain contained ruby, diamond, and precious woods. A mountain placed at the beginning of human history. Mount Sinai, where Moses spoke with God. It was said that when the divine presence manifested upon it, the mountain crumbled. Its stones, when broken, were believed to reveal shapes resembling trees. Sacred encounter carved into geology. 7 stages from Medina stands Mount Radwa, a vast mountain with valleys, flowing waters, and greenery visible from afar. It was said that near it flowed 2 springs, one of water, one of honey. From its stone came sharpening tools carried across distant lands. A mountain of sustenance. Overlooking Damascus rises Mount Qasiyoun. Within it are caves layered with sacred narrative. One is called the Cave of Blood, where it is said Cain killed Abel. Another is the Cave of Hunger, where 40 prophets were believed to have died of starvation. The mountain became a monument of memory, of tragedy, of devotion. In Azerbaijan stands Mount Ceylon, described as one of the highest mountains in the world. Traditions claim that upon it flowed a spring from paradise. At its base grew a plant that killed any animal that touched it. Even birds avoided it. Some believed unseen beings guarded the mountain. Near Ray stood Mount Nahawand. So high its summit seemed unreachable. Legends claimed Solomon imprisoned a mighty being within it. Others said the tyrant Al-Dahak was bound there. Explorers once climbed partway and discovered carved chambers and sealed iron doors. An inscription warned, "Do not open these doors, for whoever does will unleash calamity upon this land." The doors remained closed. The secret remained buried. In distant India stood a mountain whose summit burned constantly. By day, smoke rose into the sky. By night, flames glowed against the darkness. Around it grew aromatic plants carried to distant lands. A mountain crowned with fire. In Yemen stood a mountain where water flowed from its summit on all sides. Before reaching the ground, it hardened into stone. From it was made the white alum of Yemen. Water transformed mid-fall. They spoke of mountains of magnet stone connected to the mountains of the Red Sea. It was said that iron nails could not be used in ships sailing those waters, for the magnetic stone would pull them out. The sea itself became a force of attraction. In Fargana grew a plant in the shape of human forms, some resembling men, others women. It was said that consuming it increased vitality, nature imitating humanity. Thus, the mountains of the ancient world were not merely stone. They healed, they imprisoned, they burned, they petrified, they illuminated, they guarded secrets. They were anchors of theology, sites of prophecy, repositories of mineral wealth, and stages of legend. From their peaks flowed rivers. From their depths emerged springs. And so, the narrative descends from mountains to water,